Welcome to the Mortgage Update with Dan Frio. For over 10 years, Dan has been helping AM 1160 listeners. With so many companies to choose from and hundreds of loan options, the mortgage process can be confusing and costly. Be sure to listen each day for Dan and learn the difference between FHA, VA, and conventional loans. You'll also learn how to negotiate lower interest rates and fees, as well as steps to buying your first home and whether refinancing makes sense. Stay tuned to find out why Chicago's top realtors are choosing Dan Frio.
And welcome back to the Mortgage Update with Dan Frio. I, of course, am Dan Frio. So please check me out on the web, 1160mortgage.com, or give me a call. You'll get me personally, 630-338-1160. So yesterday we left you hanging. What are we going to do with collection accounts? So George, awesome answer.
I made an estimated answer.
You know what? Everything you've on all the shows we've done, everything you've answered is the most common answer. You really haven't deviated from, I guess, kind of what I'm expecting, which is awesome because that's the whole reason we're addressing these things.
Well, I didn't want to ruin your bid either.
And I don't mean to keep saying, hey, George, what's the answer?
Dude, you're so regular.
You're wrong.
Yeah. Well, this
you're
is
wrong
the most
again.
normal I've ever felt.
Gotcha. So,
right.
Collections, you said, let's...
I said a very common sense answer, which was...
settle and pay them off.
Wrong.
Basically, is the wrong... No. It can be. That can be the answer. But here's how the data reads. So basically, the biggest thing we're trying to do is, one, do you have to pay them off? But the biggest focus we're trying to look at here is how is it affecting your credit scores? Because, if you've listened to past shows, you might have to qualify for an FHA loan. You need a 580 credit score. 579, you're dead. There's no loan. No loan. Well, there can be a loan, but not with the 3.5% down. Conventional loan, 619, no loan, period. 620, you might be able to get a loan. So let's get back to collections. So your collection account, here's what reads in the data, the algorithms of your credit scores. It's reading the last active date of that account and collection. It doesn't care about the amount. It could be $1. It could be $20,000.
So if you do nothing with it, the action date on it is 5 to 7 years old. That's what they see.
It's
if you're trying to deal with it proactively, it could be 2 months ago that the last action date is.
So that's what happens is. So if you call one of those inexperienced people, and I hear this all the time, they're going to say, you have that collection for $1,800. Pay it off. And it's from 2010. Pay that off, and then we'll rerun your credit. Now that's going to be zero. We'll be golden. Wrong.
Can I guess why?
Yes.
One, it's going to take 2 months to show up on your credit report, and the other thing is that it's going to show a prospective company that, hey, you don't deal with your debts until you absolutely have to.
No. But again, and I don't keep to say, and please don't be discouraged. That is exactly what everybody thinks. So what happens is, let's go back to what I said. What's being reviewed through the algorithms? Date of last activity and the verbiage of collection. The biggest thing here, date of last activity. Again, the amounts don't matter. So if you go to zero, so now that collection account, the date of last activity was 2010. It's old. It's really not even affecting your credit scores at this point. If so, minimum. So what happened? Now you called and you owed $1,800, and you, the awesome salesman you are, you got them to take $300. Unbelievable. So you then settle for the $300. You paid them $300. What happens to the date of last activity?
Well, it goes to that date, doesn't it?
Exactly. So now what's reading through the algorithms is you had the collection, still the status of collection, because it was a collection. Date of last activity went from 2010, 8-9 years ago, to now. You just shot yourself in the foot. Now what it's reading is you have a recent collection, and your credit scores are going to drop. Doesn't make sense. But that's how it works. So what happens a lot of times is I'll get that, and then the customer will then call me after they dealt with, company A, and they'll say, well, now I can't even get a loan because now my credit score is too low.
Right.
What do I do? And I'm like, well, you can't do anything now because you just shot yourself in the foot.
You jump in your DeLorean, you go back and listen to me.
Exactly.
Now, here's a question. Yeah. What if, it's not 5, 7, 8, 10 years old? What if it's 3 years old? Is there a threshold there?
No, there is no saying, every year it's going to reduce, your credit scores are going to go up or down accordingly.
Right.
But no, I always use a rule of thumb. If it's over 2 years old, don't mess with it.
Don't touch it.
Because all you're going to do is reactivate that to a current date. Yeah. Now, if it's a lot of them will come back and they'll redo every month. So if it's current, then do what you got to do. Call them up, settle, do what you have to do, get it cleared. Also, if they're cumulatively over $2,000 in a lot of mortgage programs, they have to be addressed.
Yeah.
So here's the fear to the lender. It goes from collection to judgment to garnishment. So they're saying, well, it could eventually now get taken, kind of in your debt ratio in a roundabout way.
Right.
It could now affect your income because now you're getting garnished. Yeah. Your income is lower. Can you still afford the payments? So that's basically the background of collection accounts. Hopefully that makes sense.
I think it does.
So also,
and if it doesn't, go to the podcast, listen again.
There you go. Here's a way. I'm going to throw this out to listeners. I would highly suggest all of you do this, and it's free, and it'll take 5 minutes. Go to creditscoresandmore.com. It's plural, creditscoresandmore.com. Go to step 1 or your free credit score. Complete that. It'll take you 2 to 3 minutes. Here's what you're getting with that. You're getting your credit score, a credit monitoring system, identity theft protection. It's all free. Do the free version. You can do all the other bells and whistles if you want. You don't have to do that. Just do the free version. It's an offer to you guys, the listeners. So hopefully you take advantage of that. Okay. So yesterday we discussed reverse mortgages. Today we discussed collection accounts.
Yep.
Now I'm going to go over this one. This one was kind of odd. And I actually had this question to me. I guess it wasn't a question, but this issue come up actually more than I thought in the last couple weeks. Debt ratio. I'm just going to bounce some things off of you. Do you know what a debt ratio is? Again,
I do.
I apologize. I'm not trying to put you on.
I do actually.
Okay. So
you've got a certain amount of income and you've got a certain amount of revolving debt, your mortgage, your credit cards, your car loan, whatever else. And then they look at, how much do you owe on these things? How much do you make per year? And they come up with a number.
Yeah. So, that's it. So here's the old rule. Basically, here is the calculation of it. And there's a reason why I'm getting to this. So if you've been turned down because of your debt ratio, or you think you don't qualify because of your debt ratio, which I've had multiple clients call me and say, Dan, I know I'm not going to fit. Or I've had realtors call me saying, I don't know if you can do this, but take a look. My other lender can't do it, but can you do it? And the reason being is their debt ratio is too high. Here's what a debt ratio is. And then let me explain to you after the fact, different programs and what their debt ratios will go to. And then I'm going to elaborate even a little bit more of what are overlays. So let's get started. Okay, George, when you talk about your expenses, so the components of a debt ratio is, we call it debt to income, is the verbiage internally. So it's your debt divided by your income. Right. And it's all broken down monthly.
Right.
Okay. So debts. I don't know how to ask this question. What would you consider being the debts that are included in that?
Well, for me, I know it's our mortgage, a few credit cards, car payments.
Yep.
There's going to be, I'm assuming, our mortgage pays our insurance and our flood insurance and our hazards, so that's all built into that. But if you don't have a mortgage, then they're probably going to say, okay, if you've got another property that's paid off, we're going to need to count your insurance costs and your
dead on
things like that. Yeah,
I might have a spot open for you. We're so busy, I can use a backup. How about cell phone bill, car insurance?
Probably not car insurance, but cell phone definitely not, because you don't need a cell phone to live. Contrary to the popular belief, of those maybe 20 years younger than us.
We were at the dinner the other night, and I looked down the table. My nephew was in town with his kids. He's got 3 of them.
Yeah.
I looked down the table. I'm like, why are we even out to dinner? There is nobody talking, nobody even looking up.
We were at my brother's house for Christmas. My 14-year-old nephew hands my 6-year-old, almost 7-year-old daughter what turned out to be an awesome gift, right? So hands it to her here. She starts unwrapping it. She gets done. She goes, "Thanks, Nick," and he had to look up from his phone
It's
in order to say you're welcome.
All right, back to the debt ratio. What is included in the debts? And I'll just make this as simple as I can. Whatever's on your credit report.
Fair enough.
Period. Well, no, I'll take that back. You were right. You have to include anything associated with the house. Your home insurance, your association fees, your taxes. Even if you have another rental property, it might be free and clear. Yeah. All that's still added.
One-time assessments if you're in that year, I'm sure.
So it's everything and anything on your credit report, okay? Plus anything that goes around housing. That's it. So not your cell phone bills or your cable bills or your car insurance or anything of that sort. Okay, so that is your debt. So that's really one of the reasons why, I highly suggest everybody kind of knows their credit scores, but they don't know their debts.
Yeah, you know how you've been doing. But very few people go and add up, let me see how much I owe to everybody. Yeah.
So that is your debt part of debt to income. When we come back, I'm going to go over what is your income piece or component. This is going to surprise a lot of people because many times you think, you can count that money, but you can't. So this is where the online systems really falter, I guess is the best way to put it. Because you might get a false pre-approval online to find out down the road you do not have an approval.
Just because you didn't know how to answer a question.
Exactly. So that house you're planning to buy in 2 weeks, you're not buying. So don't go down that path. So please stay tuned. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the Mortgage Update. So let's go over at this point your income or what you might propose as your income. So, George.
Paycheck.
You awake in there?
Yeah, of course I'm awake.
Gotcha. So
I can't sleep. I haven't slept in years.
So I'm going to go down a list and you just say, I guess is what I'm going to say.
Your paycheck.
Yep.
Right?
Yep. Well, okay. Your paycheck. Some people don't know this. I remember years ago, when my parents would say, I don't even gross that amount of money, or net that amount of money.
Yeah.
You know what I mean by gross and net, right? Okay. Yeah. What gross and net is your gross income is the income before any tax deductions. So meaning if you make $24,000 a year, you make $2,000 a month. That is your gross income. Your net income is the bottom line after the fact.
Yeah. So after the carnage.
Yeah, seriously. So that all the programs revolve around the gross income. Okay, so now I'm going to start quizzing you. And again, your answers are 99.9% of the ones that are most common answered when I ask this question. Okay. So you're a student, you just graduated college.
All right.
And you have a job and you've been at that job for 2 months.
Okay.
And you're making $40,000. God bless you. Can you use that income?
Well, I would assume that they would take your last 26 weeks and double it. Because that tends to be how most people figure income.
Well, no,
probably wrong.
Let's
so
say
if you've only been there for 2 months,
but you have a $40,000 salary, I guess. Can you use it? They've only been there for 2 months. They just got out of college. Can you use that money?
Can you count on it being $40,000 a year?
It's $40,000. You got a contract saying it's a salary.
I don't know.
Okay, good. That's a good answer. You can.
Wow.
So let me elaborate on this because this is where a lot of people get stuck. If you're out of school and you're basically, so you didn't really have the ability to work prior to, and you have basically a signed agreement or a contract or a job and you're getting a salary, you can use that. Okay. Now let's deviate from that a little bit. You have a job and it is commission based. I'll be quick on that one. No, you can't use it. You have to be 2 years so they can get an average.
Show that history.
Yep. Yeah. Because the reason being is 1 month you might be in retail. December you're killing it.
So what if that college student has been out in the job force for 2 months, but he's hourly, and there is no salary?
So what happens is we can get a verification of employment from the employer saying they probably have a track record of what they've done so far in the last 2 months.
Sure.
So, and it'll also say on there full-time or part-time.
Yeah.
Okay. If it says full-time and they're averaging 38 or more.
They have to be above 36,
36. Okay, that's 36, yeah. You can use that.
Yeah.
The lender, it's lender specific, but they might ask for one more month because a lot of times they want for, and I don't know why.
It'll take another month to do the loan and get a closing and everything. So you're fine.
You're right. So that's that. Here's what doesn't count, and here's what a lot of, I don't want to say this, a lot of people get stuck on this saying, I have a full-time job and then I have a part-time job. I'm a waitress or a bartender or a something. You have to be on that job, that part-time job, 2 years.
Yeah. You got to be able to show a tax return where you declare your tips.
Yep.
Yep.
So part-time jobs and 2 years. Sales, commissions, bonuses, year-end bonuses, anything other than standard hourly or salary, you need a 2-year history of. So what happens a lot of times, somebody's filling out a job application, they're going to put in, I am a bartender, and I've been at this job for 1 year, and I make $2,000 a month. Can't use it.
Could you say mortgage application instead of job application? You said when somebody's filling out a job application.
Gotcha.
So we'll just redo that sentence, and I'll mark it. I pause the timer.
When doing a mortgage application, sometimes people will put on there that they have a part-time job for 6 months as a bartender making $2,000. The problem is you can't use it.
Yeah, and then they'll realize they can't prove that up. Huh?
Exactly. So the online systems, what happens is you put in all this data. Many times the person doesn't even review it. It's just automated. Boom, 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 boom. It goes through. You get an approval. You send that out to your realtor. They then drive you around for 2-3 weeks. You find a house, put a down payment down, get all your paperwork together, send it into the lender. 2 weeks later, you get it turned down.
Yeah.
And then everybody is mad. And then a lot of times, then I get the phone call.
Of course.
And everybody's stressed, and then I get the brunt of it. But there's many times I can work around certain things. I can't work around everything. I'm like, we could have avoided a lot of this stuff. That's where that second opinion you even said.
Yeah. Just shop it.
Just shop around.
What's the worst case? You've wasted 8 minutes of your life.
Exactly.
It doesn't cost you anything.
Exactly.
Make a call.
And like I always say, you're seeking money. Get it as cheap as you can. Okay. So let's go debt to income. The debts is everything on your credit report and your mortgage and everything associated with that house you're buying or bought, divided by your gross income. Okay. So even if you get Social Security, pensions, somebody might call and say, you know what, I'm 80 years old and I only get a Social Security and pension. I know I'm not going to qualify. Wrong. There's many times I get them qualified.
Yeah.
So now, what is the ratios of what the maximum debt ratio? What can it be? I'll give you A, B, C, D.
Yeah.
Can it be, and this is your debt ratio on then there's different ones. So let's go with the conventional loan. That's a normal loan that everybody thinks of or heard of. So I'll give you 4 different options. There's A is 43 debt ratio. B is 45. C is 47. D is 50. What debt ratio can you go? A, B, C, or D?
So we're between basketball and golf. Is the higher score better or the lower score better? Since it's the debt divided by your income, I'm going to say that the lower score.
Okay, and that's common. The 43. So there's 40. I gave you 43, 45, 47, 50.
Yeah.
The old rule of thumb, if you ask mom, dad, aunt, uncle, coworkers, 43.
Really?
The new 50.
Oh.
So I had 2 calls recently saying, I factored, I did your mortgage calculations. I did all this. I don't qualify. I'm at a 49 debt ratio. Can you help me? Do you have any ideas? I'm like, yeah, let's get you pre-approved.
Let's just get a mortgage. Yeah.
Exactly. So, but your answer was awesome. So, and that again, if you're listening to the show and you've been turned down, That might be why you're listening, or you're a realtor, or you're a financial planner, or something like that. Your daughter's looking for a house, your son, somebody, and they don't think they qualify. Please don't. And I'll say it bluntly: waste 10 minutes of your time and mine, and let's see.
Yeah.
Okay, that's the only thing I can say.
Yeah.
All right. So now there's different. I'll say it this way: there might be different criteria for an FHA loan. So let's go. I'll give you the FHA. I'll throw a curveball at you. I'm going to give you 3. Can you go 45 debt ratio, 50 debt ratio, or 55 debt ratio?
I'm going to say 55.
You are the man.
I know.
You're a genius. Dude, you're a genius. Actually, you can go to actually 57 and get approved.
Wow.
Don't shoot the messenger, guys. I'm just giving you the guidelines on FHA. Now, you cannot have, there's many times you might call me and you have a 57 debt ratio and it doesn't work.
Well,
that's possible. I'm saying I get a lot of approvals at 57, believe it or not, a lot. So you can go up to 57 on a debt ratio. VA is 50. Okay, so you have 50 on VA and conventional, 57 on FHA. So let me elaborate before we go on the comment you made on FHA.
Yeah.
So give me your thought. FHA serves a purpose of, what would be the first thing that tops your mind?
Well, at least the original sort of purpose was to just provide a means of saying, okay, if you're, generally someone who would be unable to buy a house either through down payment or just a lack of income or whatever it is, then it gives you an easier path to securing a mortgage.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
You're dead on. But the problem is, it's not only, I hate to say it, those people. It's not only that clientele. It's evolved. So it was put in place to help middle to low income wage earners get into homes. But it's evolved. So, and here, I'll give you a couple examples on what might be a factor that would entice you to go FHA. I'll give you the number one reason I take people FHA versus conventional finance.
Down payment?
No, believe it or not.
Really?
You can get right now, conventional financing, you can get 3% down.
Really? Where was that 4 years ago when I was buying a house?
It wasn't there. Was not there.
Jerks.
FHA 3.5. So you have a higher down payment with FHA. Here's where it is. The sweet spot is credit scores. You need a 580 credit score to get an FHA loan. You need a 620 to get a conventional loan.
It's a pretty big difference.
However, if you have a 620 score and you go conventional, your rate's going to be high.
Oh, yeah.
So, for example, in today's world, it's 2019. Your rate might be, believe it or not, 6%.
Yeah.
At a 620 conventional. FHA, you might be
with that same 620.
4.75, say.
Yeah.
Huge difference. But you're going to pay mortgage or a PMI factor and other factors involved in there.
Right.
But if you do the difference, if it's a $250,000 home, I would go FHA all day long. And I can explain more of that to you in some of the coming episodes. So, again, I hope you love the show. And I hope you please go check us out on YouTube and check us out on the web and shoot me an email at dan.frio, F-R-I-O, @gmail.com. And please give me a call if you'd like to talk to me personally. 630-338-1160. I look forward to talking to you tomorrow.
You've been listening to The Mortgage Update with Dan Frio. For over 10 years, Dan has been helping AM 1160 listeners. With so many companies to choose from and hundreds of loan options, the mortgage process can be confusing and costly. Be sure to listen each day for Dan and learn the difference between FHA, VA, and conventional loans. You'll also learn how to negotiate lower interest rates and fees, as well as steps to buying your first home and whether refinancing makes sense.